Hello, welcome to the Intro to Divine Human Training with My Soul's Compass. I'm Colby Collins, and it's my supreme honor to help guide you into realizing the truth of who you really are, your divine human self, and your capacity to truly create the life of your dreams right now. Divine Human Training started with over 10 years of work that I was doing with people in the transformational life coaching world and energy healing world. I began to ask a question of my own spirit when I saw my clients coming and having these amazing transformations and then not being able to hold on to that transformation or going back into their lives and experiencing the same recurring unpleasant experiences over and over, or feeling better for a little while and then going right back into their struggles. They were feeling exhausted, frustrated, overwhelmed, confused, not understanding why their healing wasn't lasting, not understanding why they were getting the results that they didn't want in their life, and how to really make that consistent change. So I began to ask the universe and spirit and my own soul connection that I'd been cultivating for my entire life. Why is this? Why is this that in my own life and in my clients that we continue to recycle the same suffering patterns and pain over and over again? And I got a very clear answer and clear response. And that answer is that we are invested in our pain. That's right, that on a subconscious level, deep within in our inner programming, that we want pain. We want to have our core wound energy, or that negative belief that you have hold about yourself deep down, that perhaps you're not good enough, or that you don't matter, or that you don't belong, or that you're ugly or stupid or bad, needs to be true in order for us to survive. And the way that I was shown that that works is that when we are an infant, we are coming from this pure memory of unconditional love that we are, right? The wholeness, the unity, the fullness that a lot of us would relate to a soul awareness, or who we are uh, beyond our human self. Then we decide, as this infinite being, that we want to come to the human plane to experience ourselves, to express the fullness that we are. And in order to do so, we take on a perception of separation. It's absolutely required that we take on this perception of separation, right? You got to have a point A and a point B in order to experience movement, to experience anything at all. That perception of separation allows us to have containers and or have form of which to animate and experience ourselves. Of course, that form is the material world, and it's also this flesh, this body that we find ourselves in, this vehicle of expression. So we take on that perception of separation, we come into this human body and we're born, and for the first few years we're really just a little emotional body, right? We're not quite aware that we have an identity. And then right around age 4 or so, our ego starts to come online, our mental body starts to come online, and our brain begins to develop this I awareness, or this independent, individualized awareness of who we are. That I am Colby, or I am different than my sisters, I have different needs, I want this, I want that. And in our development at this time, we make everything about us, because we're absorbing everything like a sponge, and we are relating it all to who we think we are. And at some point during this time, we notice that our caregivers, most likely your parents, are in a state of pain. At some point, they're projecting pain. Whether your parents were wonderful and did the best they could, or they were more abusive, at some point there was pain that was projected out at us, right? And we as children absorb that pain completely, but then we also make it about us. And so, for instance, if there was a father who was at work and felt really insecure that he wasn't making enough at his job, was getting really criticized by his boss, and felt stressed and overwhelmed, and came home and his little son was playing with a train set, or the little daughter had, drew a picture and was like, look at this, Dad, look at what I've done, or look at what I'm doing now. And the dad in his frustration said, you're stupid for wanting to do that, or that's an ugly drawing, that's not good enough. You need to learn how to do more chores. You need to learn how to become a better person, so that one day you can have a better job and not feel what I'm feeling. You see, we learn that what we think love is resistance to pain. I call this type of love shadow love. That love is resistance to pain, that I love you and I don't want you to hurt. So let me take your pain away from you. So this is really where the dad's coming from. He feels like that he is loving his children by disciplining them, trying to make them into a better person so that they don't have to feel less pain when they become an adult. But of course, all the child's getting is just pain. Dad's mad at me, mom's mad at me, I've done something wrong, who I am is not good enough, I've made a mistake, and now they're mad at me. And if they're mad, and in that moment, it literally feels like life or death because we depend on them for our survival. And if we cannot maximize a love exchange between us and them, then that self-preservation mechanism inside of us, that mechanism that's hardwired into our biology that says don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die, gets triggered, right? And so we have to do whatever we can to survive. And in that, we first absorb and take on the pain of our parents, because when you project pain out at someone and they absorb it, you feel an immediate a little bit of relief, a little boost that they've taken it on, that it's their fault that you're in this pain, right? And so we as children absorb the pain from our parents. Our parents immediately are going to feel a little bit better energetically, and so that's a way that we can let them be right. And if they're right and we're wrong, then that sets up the space for us to make them proud of us, or prove them right even more, or work harder to do what we need to do in order to get that sense of love back that we all of a sudden think that we've lost in that moment. So when we take on their pain, we begin to make it our own, and we make it our own by coming up with a core wound story. Now, we have one core wound, but there's also several other core wounds that orbit around the Mac Daddy one. Typical core wounds are I'm not good enough, I'm bad, I'm wrong, there's something wrong with me, I don't belong, I'm ugly, I'm stupid. These are typical core wounds. Now, we take on that story and we become so invested in that story because at that moment we link that seeming truth about ourselves with the love of our parents, and therefore with survival. So it's like, okay, Dad, if I've got to be stupid so that you can be right in this moment, so that then I can work hard to prove how smart I am in order to make you proud of me, so that you feel validated in your so-called love for me, then I'll always be stupid. I'll make myself not good enough and not stupid for my entire life to then prove to you how much I love you, and to sacrifice my true and natural state of being in order to make you feel better, in order to help you, in order to share my love for you. You see, it was a pure and innocent act of love, at least, but the love gets tainted and twisted and married with pain in such a way that it becomes shadow love. So that is why we are invested with our pain. That is why we want, on an unconscious level, to keep reinforcing our negative pain patterns and to keep getting the results in our lives that we say we want much less of. And so divine human training is all about understanding how exactly you took on this pain story and why you're really invested in it. And through that awareness, you receive the opportunity to take full responsibility of that story that you've been making true, to let it be true, and then to experience what I call annihilation. Annihilation is effortless, and it happens when we feel the pain fully, when we simply sit in it, let it be here, and it naturally dissolves. What it dissolves into is the vast awareness of consciousness itself, who we are without form, right? It is that singularity point, the alpha and the omega, the nothingness, the emptiness that reveals its inherent wholeness and fullness to us. This space, this awareness, is available to us at any moment, at any time. It actually pervades all experience. It's right there in between every single breath. And no matter what emotion that you're feeling, whether it be painful or positive feeling, all emotions act like a wave. And when you let yourself feel the emotion fully without stopping it, it has a build-up. It builds up, it climaxes and crests, and then it crashes on the shore and spreads out, and then it is pulled into the depths of the ocean again. And so when you allow yourself to feel the climax, that crash and that expansion, and then pulled into the depths again, that is what I refer to as annihilation. When we annihilate and realign and connect with the truth of our inherent wholeness within, we realize that we have the potential to be anything and everything, and then we get to be empowered to choose our new identity, to choose who I am. That instead of not belonging or being not good enough, I am an instrument of the living Word. I am the fullness of divinity. I am love. I am free to be me. I create the living wealth that is my true nature, right? And when we do that and what I call activate the divine human blueprint, then we create a resonance field around us and our thoughts that we're choosing and the emotions that then supersede the thoughts and all the way into our physical behaviors in the world that create and magnetize into us the results that we really do want to create. More intimate relationships, a thriving, fulfilling career, getting paid the perfect amount for your own humble, luxurious life, beautiful and loving relationships with friends and family, and a visceral connection with your own soul purpose and your own divine nature, and that you can live that practically in your life, and that in a single breath, through understanding all of your triggers and why you have them, that you can actually shift your perspective of pain, why pain is here, that it's actually an indication that you're out of alignment with the truth, and therefore an invitation to realign and choose that truth. And not only choose it, but invest in it. You see, we must change our value system from valuing pain, pain equals love equals survival, and that currently could be your highest value inside of yourself, and that through this process of becoming a divine human, your highest value then becomes your core truth, the awareness of your fullness, the awareness of your soul purpose in the world. It doesn't mean that pain's still not here and that it doesn't come up, because life is suffering, and as we are in this human experience, there will always be that byproduct of suffering and pain. But now we see pain for what it really is. We can engage it and welcome it into our experience as truly a part of ourself, just offering back that resource of our energy, of our time, of our conviction, that we may take that energy and transform it into free energy that we can then reinvest through our core truths. Now, another really important thing to understand and how to become this divine human and fully be effective in living your soul purpose and creating your dream life is to understand that we all have resistance strategies. Resistance strategies make up our ego machinery that were developed right around the same time that we took in our core wound. So even though we take on that core wound story and we know that we have to keep that, we have to make that true, because remember, core wound equals love equals pain, right? That we took on from our parents. But being in pain is uncomfortable, and it's difficult to get anything done when we're in pain, right? So our ego, or our developing mind, comes up with a brilliant way of keeping us in pain but deceiving us and thinking that we're out of it. And that's the role of resistance strategies. We all have two main resistance strategies, a masculine strategy and a feminine strategy. Both males and females have both masculine and feminine strategies. The masculine strategy is perhaps the most effective at seemingly getting us out of pain. And the way that they work is they reject the core wound and they project its opposite. So instead of not being good enough, they say, I am good enough, I am good enough, I am good enough. Perhaps it manifests in an overachieving strategy or a perfectionist strategy or a performance pretend strategy. They always put on the good enough face or the right face, or being right or proving. Masculine strategies reject the core wound and project its opposite. Feminine strategies receive the core wound, internalize, and react to it. So they say, yes, I'm not good enough, and because I'm not good enough, I'm just not even going to try, and I'm going to withdraw, and I'm going to numb, and I'm going to shut down and not feel anything, or I'm going to victimize myself and wallow and reach for that savior. Maybe him, maybe her will love me enough to tell me how good enough I am, and they're going to take care of me and give me what I need, right? So most people that I work with admit through this process that they're actually in strategy a vast majority of the time, 90, 95, or even 100% of the time, that they're actually in their resistance strategy. If you're in your resistance strategy, then it's also an indication that you're also in pain, even if you don't feel like you're in pain. And this is the addiction. This is the spot in the initiate training that we really work with, that through your awareness of your resistance strategies and how they actually work, that you can leverage that energy to connect more fully with your truth, and then receive all that energy that you're spending. You wonder why you're exhausted? Because you're spending all of your energy in your resistance strategy. It actually takes energy to resist pain and project something different about yourself that on a deep level you don't even really believe is true. The universe can only say yes, and what you're most invested in your energy field, whether it's conscious or unconscious, is what is going to create the results in your life. So if you're getting things that you're not happy with in your life, on some level, some part of you is invested in getting that result. And your strategies, even though you think that they're helping, that they're giving you that temporary high or that temporary relief, it's actually unsustainable, and when you really look at the results, you're not getting the results that you really want. So, i.e., it's not working. Now, why hasn't anyone else figured this out or realized this sooner? It's because strategies give us a payoff. There are 3 universal payoffs: safety, hope, and control. That's the goodie that you get from running your strategy, that if you can prove how good enough you are, you can control what you can do, or you can control how that person sees you, and that makes you feel stronger. Or you are safe by someone seeing you in the way that you want to, or by getting what you think you want, or that money, that you're safe there. Or you hope that by wallowing in pain and victimizing yourself and whining and complaining enough, that someone then will give you the love and acceptance that you really want. When you're in the truth of your soul, when you're aligned with the fullness that you are, there's nothing to be safe from, there's nothing to hope for, and there's certainly nothing to control, because you're connected to all of it. All of it is available to you to be used to move through your life, to experience who you are as a divine being. So it doesn't mean that those energies aren't appropriate sometimes. Like sometimes if your body is in imminent physical danger, then being safe is important. Or if someone has a gun to your kid's head, right? Or if they're running out into the street, that is when safety is important. And that part of our biological imperative will always be there if you need it, if you really need it. But how often is your physical body really in imminent danger? Right? If you're having suicidal thoughts and your thoughts get to the place where you're maybe going to harm yourself or someone else, sure, that's an appropriate time when safety is really important. But again, how often are your thoughts really at that place? You see, most of us are really addicted to this idea of safety. And to remember that when you're really so addicted to safety, of getting that safety, what you're really actually doing is reinforcing your pain. You're reinforcing the idea that there's something wrong with you, that you're not good enough, that you're not safe, and that you have to do something to prove that you can be safe again, that there's something to be safe from. Right? I know this is a very unconventional and even radical thought to consider, but it is one of the most powerful ways to access your divine human self right now, by surrendering that feeling of needing to be safe or needing to hope that what you need or what you want is always out there in front of you and never right here and available to you now, and have to control. That when you surrender the addiction to those payoffs and you face your pain and feel it all the way with no effort, with no trying to or even needing to, and then to rest in the glory of the truth of who you really are, to feel inspired and convicted and devoted, to invest yourself by choosing those new thoughts and by putting those new thoughts into actions and behaviors that you can count on and commit to. That's how you really create the results that you really want. So I am so glad that you are here, that you are listening, and to your heart's call, or whatever drew you to this video. And below you'll find some questions that is an introduction to the Divine Human Initiate Training, which is the first step in claiming your divinity and claiming your capability to create the life that you really want to be living. So the first question is, what is that life that you really want to be living? What do I want, and what will it look like when I have it? Let yourself really connect in. What do you really want? What do you want to be feeling every day? What do you want the dominant experience of your life to be? And what does that actually look like when you're feeling that? And then once you've made a few notes there, the next question is, what's stopping you? What's stopping you in your life from experiencing that as your dominant reality now? And think about it as recurring unpleasant experiences. What shows up on a near daily basis that is blocking you or inhibiting you from experiencing the freedom, the abundance, the intimacy, the love that you're really craving and yearning for? And just make some notes there. After you've done that, you'll have a really clear context of why we're doing this work together so that you can transform and leverage and utilize that energy that you're actually invested in and those what's stopping you and those recurring unpleasant experiences to reclaim that energy to then funnel through a new investment strategy through a core truth that you realize in your connection with your soul and your purpose that we discover in your initiate training into then actually creating and magnetizing that life that you do want. I would be so delighted to connect with you with a free 30-minute discovery session after you've completed this introduction, and or you can go straight to the individual sessions page and book your initiate training today. So much love. Bye.